Hello everyone, I hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm doing a Scrapping for Less design team project using two stamp sets that are available at Scrapping for Less. The first one here is Avery Elle's Bring On the Cake. So fun, a lot of sweet little images in here. And then the second project we're going to use the stamp set from Prima, and it's called Wild and Free, and it's a cling stamp. So we're just going to jump in with our first card using the Avery Elle Bring On the Cake. I'm going to start off by grabbing a piece of white cardstock, and then we're going to stamp the cupcake. Love cupcakes, and so we're going to make a cupcake card. I'm just going to use an acrylic block and my Memento Tuxedo black ink and stamp my image. And then we're going to go ahead and color this in with some Copic markers. I did leave the colors in the left hand side for you, and I did speed it up quite a bit, but very simple coloring. I colored the base with some browns, and then for the cupcake I'm going to use some pinks, 3 different shades of pink. And then we'll go in with the darkest pink, which is RV55. For my little cupcake plate, I decided to use some yellows. So I'm going to go in with R21 and then darken up some edges with my R20 or YR23. Did I say R21? It's YR21. Now I went ahead and stamped the little strawberry. I thought we'll accent that with, I took a double look at the stamp set and it came with a cherry and a strawberry. So I thought, oh, strawberries will be nice. So I just coloring that in with some reds and some greens, and our images are finished. Now I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut each of those out just using my scissors. And once we have those all fussy cut out, I'm going to grab a piece of acetate or vellum here. Now this vellum I used a scalloped circle die to cut out. And I'm going to go ahead and pop up my little strawberry on my cupcake, just using a foam square. This is a little everyday card, and I think it turned out really fun. Now, with Scrapping for Less, if you are a Flavor of the Month kit subscriber, you'll know that there's lots of sequins that come in the Scrapping for Less Flavor of the Month kits, so we're going to put those to good use today. The sequins are from Kennedy Grace, and I really like the little bag that we're going to use. But I'm going to take a stitched rectangle die and cut out my panel along with the circle frame, just using white cardstock. Now to give this is going to be my background panel, so I'm just grabbing an embossing folder that I had from my stash, and we're going to add some texture on there. I'm going to flip that over, add some tape behind it, and then we're going to tape that down to an A2 size card base. Next I'll use my tape runner and add some tape behind my circle frame here. And then I'm just going to tape that down to my vellum. It's going to leave me a little bit of an edge. Okay, I'm going to grab some foam tape and I'm going to go around my entire circle. For this card we're going to make a shaker card, but I wanted the sequin background to look almost like sprinkles, so I'm going to tone it down with the vellum. I'm just going to grab, this is a bag of Kennedy Grace sequins that was from I believe last month's kit, so I'm going to place them right in the center on top of my card base, and I only used 1 layer of foam tape, so it's not going to shake very much, but I really just wanted the background, the little polka dot, the muted colored background. I think that looks really fun. Okay, now we need a sentiment. So grabbing a piece of scratch white cardstock, I'm going to stamp the sentiment that says "Hey Cupcake." Using my VersaFine ink, I'm going to stamp that. And then I have a speech bubble from my stash. I'm just going to die cut that out with my little speech bubble here. Okay, I'm going to add some foam tape behind my sentiment. I got to trim it down a little bit so it'll fit. And then I'm going to add a piece of foam tape behind my little cupcake here. Now my cupcake's going to go in the center of my little shaker window, and then I'm going to go ahead and place my sentiment. This is kind of a universal card. You can give it just as a fun little gift. Okay, now for a little bells and whistles, I'm going to go in with a few of those little sequins and add them around my little scene. And then to give a little bit of sparkle to my cupcake, I'm going to go in with my Nuvo crystal drops or glitter drops. These are White Blizzard. It's a real pretty iridescent glitter drop. And then I decided to go over the center of my sequins too, just to give them a little extra sparkle. And that finishes off card number 1. Real fun, everyday card. I like to have these in my stash. But here's some close-ups. And now we're going to go ahead and work on our next project. Now, using the Prima Wild and Free stamp set. And I didn't realize this, but they're a cream color. And I thought that was really neat. But I'm going to place this on my acrylic block. And I'm going to stamp this on a piece of pattern paper that I grabbed from my stash. This is like a real bright green with some white little accent on there. I'm going to stamp my image directly on my pattern paper using my VersaFine ink. Now at first you think, oh, it looks kind of a little bit busy. So we're going to fix that though. I'm going to go over my little heart with some Nuvo Crystal Clear embossing powder. And then while I have my embossing powder out, we're going to stamp our sentiment. I chose the little circle that says Wild One. And I'm going to stamp that with my VersaFine as well. And they stamp beautifully. Now I'm going to go over that with some clear embossing powder, and then we're going to go ahead and melt both of our images here. I'm going to end up fussy cutting out my heart, but we're not going to do that just yet. I am going to take a circle die and die cut out my little sentiment. This is a stitch circle die I have from my stash. Okay, now we're going to need to doctor this up so it doesn't look so strange. So I thought we could add a lot of dimension using my green Copic markers. Now I left the colors again over on the left hand corner for you, but I'm starting off with the G94 and just going over the corners on each of those little elements. I'm doing a little bit of shading. And then next I'm going to go in with a darker Copic marker. I believe this is G99. And then we're going to finish it off with YG13. It's a real bright green, and just blending all three of those little shadings together. And I just went on each one of those little corners, and it really does add a lot of depth to your image. And even though there's a lot going on, I think it turned out really neat. Okay, once I add my third color, I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut this out, just using my scissors. Okay, now we need to work on our background. I'm taking a piece of black and white diagonal stripe pattern paper, and I'm just fishtailing the end here. And then I'm going to cut out a panel using some white cardstock. This is going to be for my background. Okay, now I wanted to add a little bit something more on my background, so I grabbed some Distress Oxide ink. This is Twisted Citron. It's a real bright, vivid green. I'm going to add a little bit of water to it, and then just using my paintbrush, I'm going to do a little bit of splattering. Just so it's just not a white area. It just adds a little bit extra something to it. I'm just using my heat gun, and I'm going to go ahead and dry that. And I think that makes a great background panel. Now I'm just going to add some foam tape behind my panel, and then I'm going to place my panel directly in the center of an A2 size card base. had a little extra piece of foam tape sticking out, so I cut it off. Okay. Next we're going to take my black and white striped paper here. I'm going to trim it down, and then I'm going to add a piece of foam tape behind here. And this fishtail banner is going to go all the way up to the top of my card base. So I'm going to add a piece of foam tape right behind where I'm going to place it. That way everything is nice and even and flush. I'm going to trim down my fishtail banner a little bit more, but I'll just remove the backing off here, and I'll place that down on my card base. Now we'll add our heart. I'm just going to add foam tape to the left side of it, and then I'll use my tape runner on the right side. Once we have that placed down, we're going to pop up our sentiment with some foam tape and place that right by our heart there. And I think that looks really neat. I like the green and the black and white. I think that looks real fun. Now, just for a few little accents, I'm going to take some yellow sequins. These are the Kennedy Gray sequins that came in the Flavor of the Month kit. I'm going to add a few of those. And that finishes off my second project. Here's some close-up pictures. Both my cards that I made today are, I would say, everyday cards that are great to have in your stash because they're not themed. And so here's the first one, and then here's the second one. Now both of these stamp sets, the Prima Wild and Free and also the Avery Elle Bring on the Cake, are available at Scrapping for Less, and links will be in the description area for you. I just wish you a fantastic day. Thanks so much for stopping by. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.